So there's one last thing I want to touch on while I'm on the subject of riffs. How do you go from a riff to a song? Now I've done a couple of one riff songs, but those were really to make a specific point. Normally you want at least 2 or 3. Ultimately, metal is guitar-based music, and to me the riff is the central idea of the song. Everything else, the drum rhythms, the bass lines, vocal meters, I try to conform that around the riff to really get the most out of it. Today I want to discuss the concept of developing secondary riffs from your main riff. What I appreciate from bands like Iron Maiden is that they'll write 4 or 5 independent riffs and then just throw them together into a song, but there's a lot of potential you can waste by doing it this way. When I look at a riff, I try to think of how I can create more sounds by exploring and experimenting with it. Whether it's rhythms, patterns, harmonies, I take the central idea of the riff and I try to extract as much as I can. This gives you the benefit of maintaining cohesion and focus within the song as well. Now you can do this in a lot of different ways, from rearranging your chord progression or adapting the same melody to a different chord progression, reusing a rhythmic pattern, or just like stretching out previous ideas. My best example of this is Shadow, the 3rd track from the demo. A couple of videos ago I demonstrated the secondary riff and talked about how I developed the pattern for the song. Today I'm going to demo the primary riff and explain how I created the secondary riff from it. Previously I mentioned that the song is based on a certain pattern. E family chords get this G, G, F sharp, G melody, while B family chords get the opposite. Although this whole entire song is actually downpicked. The main riff starts with E, followed by B, repeat, then we go from D major to an E with no melody for aesthetic reasons. Again we repeat, but the harmony is shifted up. So what happens there is that instead of playing a D major 1 and 3, we shift it up to the 3 and 5. This is an F minor 3rd, but functionally here it's an inverted D major with no root. And then we move that melody from F sharp to G to D F A, A to B. And then we end with a power chord. One of my favorite patterns is the fact that a minor 3rd on the guitar is a reversed power chord. So if you take your fingers and then you flip them over, you get a power chord. That's a neat thing that I do a lot in my music. So the primary riff without any interruptions. We get to the secondary riff. What I did for the song was cut out the repeats for the first 4 chords. We go from E to B straight into D and E. Now I play a new chord progression while maintaining the same pattern for the song. Next we get a C major, which is Lydian and has a sharp 4 for a tritone harmony, to E in the same family, to D, finally to B, which gives us a dominant 5th chord resolution. That's pretty much all I've got for riffs now. Lead guitar is coming up soon, so we're heading closer and closer to the end. But before that, I want to cover some harmonic concepts by talking about bass lines.